Country's Deer Processing.
And Billy did not see the stop sign. It's kind of covered up on that side.
But they lived out here. How did he not know about the stop sign?
They didn't live out here. And it hit right here.
Yeah.
It's where the truck hit them.
This is where I was imagining that happening.
They lived way back up toward Albany on a road that went to Sale City. And this was one of the ways he would take her riding. And he would turn around and go back home, and she'd be asleep. And he'd tell her, come on, let's go in. And she'd go in and go to bed. But that truck, a big truck hit him. And that truck was traveling at a high rate of speed. And he told the policeman, the truck driver did, he said they had to have been killed upon impact. He said, because if you consider how fast they were going and how fast I was going, they couldn't help but have been killed upon impact.
We are here today to bemoan the passing of my cousin Andy Arnold. We are in the middle of nowhere, someplace called Funston, Georgia, that even I am unfamiliar with. This is where I'm from. Right here. Back in these woods. In the pines. Where the sun never shines. Not really, I'm just way out here in the sticks at an old country cemetery where a lot of my family's buried. We got Allens in our family. We got Arnolds in our family. Turners. Jones. And the likes. This is cousin Ronnie's grave right here. There was a movie in the 1980s called Stand By Your Man. It was about George Jones and Tammy Wynette. There was an actor that played the part of George Jones, but the singing parts were done by my cousin Ronnie, who was kind of a George Jones impersonator somewhat. He was a fairly successful country musician, but let's just say the bottle had its way with him and kind of put a little bit of a damper on his music career. God rest your soul, Ronnie. God rest your soul. There's Granny's grave. Marvin. And their infant daughter.
The thing is learning to live in a way that you can live again after death.
Yep, got that one.
I'll show y'all the museum. He built this cabin for him and his wife, and one of his sons wanted it, so he gave it to him.
This is sure a nice cabin. Got a steel gate at the entrance.
Woo! Somebody is building a nice house.
What do you call it? Oh yeah, dirt road.
Dirt road.
World famous dirt road.
They still have them out in the country here. Yeah, they're cleaning up the road.
Yeah, they're sweeping up all the glass and metal fragments. I see that truck got hit pretty good.
Drive right through it.
If you had a Corvette, you could drive under it. There's the world's busiest airport right there. Dawson, Georgia Municipal Airport. Makes Hartsfield International in Atlanta look like a little country airstrip. Crop dusters and such. Coming into the giant metropolis known as Parrott, Georgia. Makes New York City look like a stump jumping hick town. Parrott, Georgia. Just look at that skyline. Makes Manhattan look like it was built with Lego blocks.
When you get hit across the face, it's a what? Okay, we're not rhyming. This is what people in Alaska live in. It's like cubes.
There it is, folks, right there.
And when you fell out of school, they say you blinked out.
Just gaze upon that glow
You go to the store,
and
you eat
majesty.
eggs and your bread, it's called what? When you're gathering up. And you
Parrott,
go to the
Georgia.
store.
Yes, sirree, Bob.
You put your gun in a sign.
Don't you ever doubt me. Weston city limit. Gigantic, sprawling metropolis of epic proportion. Just gaze upon the glory and the majesty that is Weston, Georgia. See? See how big that is? See how it just goes on and on and on for as far as the eye can see? Don't you ever doubt me.
Until last week, Mr. Bill Cox, he gave me a book that plumb give me cold chills. It is called Alice in Wonderful Land. I can tell you about it if you want me to. All right then. Well, sir, once upon a time, there was this young gal named Alice. Lived over here in England somewheres. She was a pretty little thing. No bigger than a squirrel. She kindly bored one day. She wandered off summers. She seen this here white rabbit come running by. He's wearing a windbreaker and no drawers.
Entering Fort Benning, United States Army Military Reservation. Back up so I can Division Road. Largest military installations on planet Earth. Minutes later, coming up on 185, our exit, which will take us north George Custer Road here somewhere. Not sure where. Although that's similar. It says Casita, but no, there's actually a George Custer Road here on Fort Benning. There's a lot of roads on Fort Benning. It's a big base, one of the biggest. We are now about to leave Fort Benning. There's a statue of Teddy Roosevelt on his horse. Can't see it from here. We'll see if we can get a glimpse. Along with that beautiful array of American flags. Right there. Columbus, Georgia. Definitely a military town. If it weren't for Fort Benning, Columbus would pretty much be Albany. Roughly the same size as Albany, maybe a little bit bigger. Similar demographics, other than the military presence, that is. Lots of gang activity, violent crime, robberies, drugs, etc., etc. Oh, coming up on Macon Road. Guess where that'll take you? Over to Macon. Yes, yes indeed. Leaving Columbus, Georgia, and we are, and here's some very vital information, 47 miles from LaGrange, Georgia, 74 miles from Noonan, Georgia, and 98 miles from Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, yes indeed. To me, this is the longest part of the drive. That haul from Columbus up to Atlanta. And the highest likelihood to encounter law enforcement. Running radar. Issuing citations for speeding violations. Yes. So this is Wednesday, February 22nd. And here's a semi-interesting little factoid for you. This past Saturday night, where we live, up in North Georgia, it got down to 27 degrees. Tomorrow, it's supposed to get up to almost 80. More than a 50-degree temperature swing. My fine feathered friend. Starting to get into what you call a radio dead zone. Too far away from Atlanta to really get the Atlanta stations clearly. The Columbus stations are starting to fade out. Macon is a little too far away to get their radio stations. You get stuck with black religious music. So we're listening to something called the Black Information Network. The Black Information Network, where literally every other word is black. And what this station is apparently dedicated to is inflaming racial hatred 24/7, keeping the crisis going and the hype of injustice, 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 where they cover such things as the segregation movement and slavery, etc., etc. All of this, of course, brought to you, you fine black folk, by the hands of the Democrat Party. But for some reason, stations like the Black Information Network never mention that part. They never mention the fact that all of the slavery, all of the segregation, and the Ku Klux Klan was all, every bit of it, Democrats. Interesting. You see, what stations like the Black Information Network do is to cause rage and anger and strife and hatred. Basically to cause violence. Violence against people who had nothing to do with slavery or segregation or the Ku Klux Klan. And what seems like thousands of miles later, the merge of I-185 onto I-85 north, 70 miles to Atlanta, the final stretch. Yes, yes indeed.
Body discovered near Drowning Creek in Decatur.
Our one and only stop on our 3-hour journey from Albany to Atlanta.
We have an update on that national infant formula recall. I've just gotten word from the Georgia Department of Public Health that
Same place
pre-owned
where
homes
we
are
always stop
but that's not the case here in the
to use the bathroom and get something to eat.
Homes were down 0.7% in January for the 12th month
Yes,
of
sirree.
declines. Sales are down almost 37%
Loves Truck
from a year
Stop.
ago. And while the slowdown caused by higher mortgage rates is being
Good
felt
day, sir.
the line
County girl.
Gwinnett County Police Chief J.D. McClure says investigators are still trying to determine the exact
Murder,
name of
murder,
16-year-old
murder.
Susanna
That's all you
Wallace's
get
death.
here in the Atlanta
She
area.
died at the hands of Miles Bryant.
Which is
Because
why the
Atlanta
officer has now been charged
It's a
with felony murder and
Democrat-run
kidnapping.
murder hole.
Sanctity of life.
McClure says investigators don't have any reason to think that Morales knew Bryant before the murder. He says the investigation is ongoing. At Gwinnett County Police Headquarters, Jonathan O'Brien, 95.
75 north.
How about this weather? We are
Headed up
going
to
to
Canton.
degrees today.
I already know the answer.
Either was it really unhealthy or had the shot?
He was a fairly healthy dude, but I haven't seen him in a lot of years. But we're in an era in which so many people are dying, and it's all heart attacks and strokes.
I'm afraid that after Nana, next Carla, because she got the shot, or Joanna. I don't know if Bradley got the shot or
You can't tell these people anything. They're normies. They don't believe in anything except what TV and government tells them.
They say God will protect them, but
Doesn't mean that they're bad people, because they're not.
no,
It just means that they're controlled.
they rely on the system.
Did you personally want to hear from the former president? I wanted to hear from the former president.
They trust in humanity.
I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to
They
get
believe
60
that God
seconds
will
with
keep them
president.
safe from every single bad
Me
thing.
working at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting a swear in.
He said that he would have helped with everything on this earth, that Satan's on here.
Okay, my fine feathered friend. We are back from our trip to South Georgia. And of course, what would a trip to South Georgia be without stopping at either Stripling's or the S&L Sausage Company and bringing back some excellent high quality meats. Here we have some Vidalia onion and cheese sausages. Yes, sirree, Bob. And of course, some jalapeno and cheese sausages. And some nice, beautiful, 1.5 inch thick bone-in smoked pork chops from the S&L Sausage Company, just outside of Albany, Georgia, in beautiful, tiny Leesburg, Georgia. Thus concludes our trip. Thanks for watching. See you next time. I bid your ass adieu.